welcome to Wholesome Roots. It is a beautiful day today here in Georgia. It's in the low 80s right now, which is quite cool for us. So I'm gonna try to get some gardening in before it gets too hot. On this bed here, we barely had any germination for our late summer stuff. So I've got, what, 3 bean plants? So that leaves an awful lot of space around those bean plants to seed something else. Over here, we have a couple of squash plants. But again, lots of open space around on either side. We've got some cucumbers coming up here with lots of space in between. So we didn't have the greatest germination rate on these things, but that's okay because now I can come back through and in between these plants I can plant other things that grow small and won't be in the way. This side here I've got to come through, and probably I have to move this whole weed pile out of the garden because that's the next bed we'll be pulling weeds in. So when Ryan pulled all the weeds the other day, he made his pile right there. So I'm gonna probably have to use the wheelbarrow and get that moved. And then along this left side, the weeds are coming in from the next bed. So I'm gonna take it a whole nother foot over to make sure that I have a good barrier and walkway between the weeds and my garden. And then back here, some of these big weeds were left that I'm gonna have to get pulled out, and I can always throw them back there on the black plastic. We have the black plastic that runs all the way down this length of the garden, and it's an attempt to keep the creeping Charlie and the blackberries from invading into the garden. As you can see, we've got some creeping Charlie and blackberries that have invaded anyway. So if you look down this way, you can't even tell that I've got black plastic because the weeds have grown over the top of it and created a green blanket over it. So lots of work still left to do in this garden, but it is definitely reclaimable. If not for the entire fall garden to be planted, at least we'll have it ready by spring. So my 10-minute garden challenge today is probably going to turn into a whole lot more than 10 minutes. Well, I don't know how long it was because my camera stopped recording before I finished. What do you want? You licking the salt off of me? As you can see, I have sweat dripping down my face and neck. So I needed to take a quick break, rehydrate, cool off a little bit, and get my breath caught for just a minute before I move on to the next phase. Having the children helping in the garden can be a lot of fun and a great learning experience for them. The only dilemma is when they occasionally hit your good vegetables with the hoe. We may have lost a squash plant today, but these kids gained a great education and good sunshine and exercise in the garden, so well worth it. After I've reestablished my pathways on either side, reclaimed them from the weeds, I made sure to hill up my bed just a little bit and then rake out any debris such as dead plant material that's big and bulky, or any weeds that were still left behind from pulling weeds and dropping them as I went by accident. What this does is gives me a nice smooth surface to plant seeds into. As we have moved away from using a rototiller and tried our best to stay away from using rototillers as much as possible, I try to do these beds by hand as often as I can, even if it means hand pulling weeds. The reason why I don't weed eat the weeds or bush hog them is because they're covered in seeds. So removing them from the garden and putting them in a pile at the end or this end gives one location for those seeds to possibly germinate, but they're at least not germinating right in my garden bed. And just like that, my camera died in the middle of me weeding. So the video that I shot yesterday that you're watching now, luckily, even though my battery died on my camera, my energy did not, and I continued to pull weeds, and I completed a total of 4 hours of weed pulling. I don't know what got into me, but I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. I just kept on seeing another weed that just had to come out, and I got a lot done and I felt very accomplished. So last night I took a hot Epsom salt bath, and I took an extra curcumin supplement, and I drank a lot of water, and I went to bed expecting to feel my worst today. Luckily, I woke up feeling great. My back is a little bit tight. I have 4 degenerated discs, so that's kind of natural. But other than that, I feel okay, which is a complete and total miracle that I had enough energy to do 4 hours of work, and that I was able to do it without completely ruining myself for a week. If I had done that just a month ago, I would have been on the couch for a week, literally. So I'm so excited that it looks like my supplements are really helping, and that at least the symptoms are getting better. So that is a blessing. So my 10-minute garden challenge today turned into 4 hours. But that's okay, because that's a good thing. And now you guys know that you can be encouraged too to do the 10-minute garden challenge, because you never know what that 10 minutes is going to turn into. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time on Wholesome Roots.